Hello, I'm Coach Darren Slack for Ask NFA. One question we got recently from a quarterback on Instagram was, how do I get the ball to turn over on deep throws or deep balls? Deep throws encourage a wider release because of the torque that quarterbacks generate on their turn. Add to that a front shoulder angle that is often too high because the quarterback leans back on the release, and it creates too much torque for the arm to overcome. So you get a flatter, hooked wrist type delivery. Depending on where the ball is let go in the slashing motion caused by the increased torque of that turn, this usually results in a ball whose trajectory is flat, pulls the receiver inside, or one that outruns the receiver. Or it ends up just being a jump ball because it's underthrown short. Deep balls are not about throwing the ball as far as we can. It's a very disciplined action that requires great timing and execution of footwork, weight transfer, and arm speed. Deep throws are about tracking the future hallway of the receiver down the field and driving the ball to that spot with confidence. This lack of awareness to control the lateral, more sidearmed release I mentioned earlier impacts most younger QBs simply because of their inability to get the ball to turn over regardless of arm strength. They don't realize how the forces of the deep ball impact their arm's throwing motion. I just completed a free video called Improving Deep Ball Trajectory that will help you a lot with this. It's available at the link included below from our NFA QB Protocols video series. Check that out. But for the purposes of answering the question, let's understand a little bit more about trajectory and controlling ball flight to get the ball to turn over. Here's a picture for you to think about. We want more high five, less head slap on the attack of the hand and forearm. I know, it sounds a bit strange. But let's break down the throw quickly and it will make more sense to you, okay? So you start the deep ball by making sure you work on the balls of your feet. So you want your feet outside your hips, you want your base solid, you want to be on the balls of your feet. You got to keep your back heel out of the ground as you start the drive out to the target. Now as your weight starts to transfer forward, keep your shoulders as level as possible. Some elevation is okay, but too much is unhelpful. Now here's where we reach the first most important test of the deep ball, arm speed. You want to drive hard and squeeze the core, the stomach muscles as the arm starts forward on the throw to assist the elbow's critical acceleration ahead of, and more importantly, above the throw shoulder, to what we call zero position. Zero position is the last position your arm's going to be in prior to the triceps firing the arm out, extending to the target. This squeezing of the core instead of spinning the body open will help keep the front shoulder closed just long enough to get the arm through to the target hallway. If the arm is far enough forward of the shoulder, it will support the more vertical attack of the forearm that we want to teach, more high five, less head slap. If the elbow drags behind the shoulder like what happens to a lot of baseball players who lead their throws with their shoulder, the joint locks and the wrist will go wide and the QB will slash the release. Does that mean the ball won't fly or that it will never be accurate? No, it just means that the accuracy advantage available was lost and now poor mechanics must be overcome to succeed on the throw. That's how a lot of quarterbacks get by. But as you transfer the weight on the front leg and stand up, instead of letting the arm orbit around the elbow, work the forearm through more vertically like a high five, more so than, say, a head slap. See, the final key to getting the ball to turn over is the wrist's aggressive snap of the hand at the top of the release at full extension. You have to reach up the rail, as we call it, through the finish. If you pull down too early to make the ball spin, slash across, or fire the wrist too soon, the ball will redirect off target inside, or hang in the air, or they'll wobble badly. To assist in getting the wrist to stay loaded, we teach the QBs to cock the wrist slightly to align the joint as if to throw a punch. This cocking or loading of the wrist must be held until it can be held no longer past the elbow. So once you pass the elbow, we want that wrist to stay open. You'll feel the nose of the ball want to turn down, and that's when we want to hold it to the last possible moment and then snap the wrist sharply over and down as the forearm pronates the hand through the back of the ball. The ball should leave the fingers of the hand slightly nose up to the throwing arm side. Done properly, when the ball reaches its apex or the highest point, the spiral or spin will overcome the forward velocity and turn the nose downward to the target, just like the video you see here. This video will really help you understand it better. I hope that helps some. Check out the deep ball trajectory video link I mentioned earlier and send us another Ask NFA question soon. Our next question comes from a coach on Twitter. How do I adapt the R4 system footwork to the pistol formation or pistol set? See, R4 is an operating system created by myself and Coach Dub Maddox, one of my NFA partners. It's a system designed to accelerate QB coach coverage, reads, language, decision-making, and communication in the passing game. It's derived from the DNA patterning and timing of football. It operates seamlessly within any offensive structure to help coaches and QBs make better decisions faster. See, R4 relies heavily, though, on footwork timing with route progressions, primarily into the center and in the shotgun at 5 yards. Pistol alignment is a hybrid distance between the two at 3 to 3.5 yards, between under center and in the normal shotgun, and therefore requires some timing adjustments in the footwork of the quarterback. We encourage all coaches that utilize R4 to implement something we call a punch step or a read step. At the outset of any of the drops, especially from pistol alignment, that require an adjustment to timing, there's a short step taken by the non-throwing arm side foot backwards before the quarterback pivots into a normal drop step pattern. For instance, if I was throwing a quick game throw from the pistol, the ball arrives sooner in the hands of the quarterback than it does, say, in the shotgun. So the quarterback can use the punch step to time up the receiver's route breaks better in the quick game. So instead of just a catch and one-step drop and throw, it could become a punch one or a two-step drop. This slightly extra step is very helpful for adding a little more time to the decision process, coverage reads, and route break timing, especially for slower receivers. For the 5-step drop concepts, it's generally understood that the quarterback will take a 3-step drop after receiving the snap away from the center in a gun position. But if he's closer to the center than he is in the gun, he receives the ball sooner, which can make him early on the delivery of a timed rhythm route. So he has the option of including a punch step backward prior to the start of the drop to compensate for the time difference in the rhythm break. So for instance, if I wanted to take a step back and then take a 3-step drop, it now becomes a punch 3-step drop or a 4-step drop. See, the pistol provides many additional run game options, and the utilization of a QB-controlled punch step will more than compensate for any lost timing on quick game and intermediate rhythm type throws he needs to make. I wish you the best of luck with the R4. It's a great system, and I know it'll help you a lot. Our final question this episode of Ask NFA comes from a parent on Facebook. They ask, how do I best support my son when he is the backup on his team? If you've been to an NFA camp, you'll understand what I'm about to say next. You need to first help your son understand that this repositioning isn't about him. His participation is on a team with a coach attempting to do what he believes is best for the team. It's expected that each player has the same mindset toward doing what is best for the team, even if we don't agree with how it's being done. Whether a starter or a backup, each QB in NFA understands that doing their best for others is a non-negotiable in their leadership, in their attitude, and the way they go about it. He's to be a servant leader on the team, which means they don't have the luxury of throwing a fit when things don't work out how they hoped. We embrace the adversity through serving with a good attitude. It's not about being nice, it's about being consistent. It's about being diligent. If your son's frustrated, remind them that he's always just one play away from being the starter, and that while his emotions are understandable, they're not what drive a man, nor what drive a leader. Mature men and mature leaders live to make decisions from their will, their love of others, and their sense of duty, not based on what they feel at any moment. You already know that. But simply because how they feel can change so easily, they can get frustrated. If they're discouraged, we need to find ways to validate and affirm every small move they make to serve their team and have a good attitude. Don't overreact to the anger and self-deprecating comments he may make to you. The venting of frustration shows that he trusts you to not punish him for keeping it real. Now correct disrespect and disloyalty and let the rest roll off your back. Highlight your pride in his willingness to serve his teammates despite not getting what he wants right now. Try to avoid giving him "this is going to help later on" speech too much also, as young men don't understand they understand it in principle, but it's not going to help them in the moment. Instead, express encouragement in the disciplined choices he's making to show up every day and do his best. Now, be specific in what you see him doing, and no matter how small it is, make him feel your sincerity. Let him know you respect his attitude, because it may be better than yours about the situation. That can be the case sometimes. The boys have a better attitude than the moms and dads. If your son is clearly looking to spend a lot of time on the bench, playing not only in mop-up minutes or endgame scenarios, emphasize the importance of moving the chains off the field, just like he does on the field. You see, at NFA, we talk about getting 10 yards as the primary goal of every football athlete. Well, the same holds true for their commitment to improving practice and their service to their teammates, in their leadership, and in their character off the field. Everything becomes about small victories that build momentum for the future. Discourage your son from worrying about what he can't control, and affirm his willingness to get better every day in some small way. Just like the offense keeps getting first downs until they run out of grass and then get points, we need to encourage our sons to keep getting first downs each day until they get their opportunity, either to play or to show that they are who they say they are. If they do that, just tell them that even when they get their shot, that goal of 10 yards every day, every play, and in every way doesn't change. So we might as well suck it up and start moving those chains now. Let's be the same guy now that we'll have to be later. Finally, set a 48-hour cool-down period for any discussion of quitting after a tough day you may encounter. Post-practice or post-game outbursts of lost hope and love for the game is typically just emotional venting. Just explain to your son that if he mentions he wants to quit, that you'll be happy to discuss it in 2 full days' time from the time he said it first. So if he says it on Friday night after the game that he wants to quit, we'll be happy to talk about that on Monday night after practice. Until then, everything stays the same. Often the heat of the moment will pass and the conversation never comes. But even if it does come, it's a better talk because that initial irritation has had time to pass. And real progress can be made on what's really upsetting him. Oftentimes it's something small that we can get past. I hope that helps you some, and we wish you the very best of luck this season. I'm Darren Slack for Ask NFA, where we make you better, faster.